and be prevented if you take action to do that.
You come across as not being cool because let's all take our minds back to when we're teenagers. You know, you want to be amongst the cool kids. Okay, you kissed a bit, you touched a bit. You know, you have some experience, but you don't want to go all the way. It's that experimental age. Is that a crime today?
Actually, you can't be cool anymore if you want. If to be truthful, because the boy will say, you allowed me to do this.
Right.
I touched you that day and you didn't say anything. I touched you another day and you didn't say anything. And so what's the problem now?
Right.
And so when it's your word against their word, they're going to say, yeah, my friends were telling me that you were allowing me to touch you. You know, I told my friends that. So girls have to be on it. They have to be strong. They have to tell their parents. They have to tell their teachers, whoever will listen. And as adults, we need to confront those boys.
So I have a friend who was raped at 16. Now, she bottled everything. She didn't tell her parents. Nobody knew about it. And then now she's in her early 30s and she's finding it difficult to have a relationship because once it gets to getting physical, she starts throwing tantrums and she gets a fit. She's angry, and the guys don't really have time to understand what is going on with you. So how do you help such a person? Because she is successful. She's a businesswoman right now. She's doing well. You would think she came out of it and she's okay. But you know that in the relationship, something is wrong. She can't just, she gets flashbacks when she's sleeping. So how do you help such a person?
That's called post-traumatic stress. And so I have friends who have experienced it as well. And she needs therapy because if you don't get therapy and you don't get help, then those things are bottled up and they come out in different ways. And so if she goes to somebody and she talks to them, she's a professional, talk to another professional and able to talk her way out of it, because many times when you're abused, you think, what did I do? You know, you carry that thing around. You also carry the shame around. And if she's in a relationship, she's probably afraid that the person's not going to accept her because she was abused. So somebody needs to help her get through that as well.
So shame. When I had the rape attempt as a young girl, the mother of the boy came out and said she keeps male friends, and I felt more comfortable among my guys than the girls when I was growing up. So as a teenager at 16, 17, I had more guys. Till date, we still maintain closeness than, you know, the girls. And these guys took it, he or his mom claimed that, you know, that was a cue for what he did. And when my mother called him out and went to the family and said, he attempted to rape her in my own house, and she talked about it, because I came out immediately, I told me I won't even, and everybody just poured it. You know, I felt like I could die.
Poured it on you.
The mother came out and said, she keeps guys. So I felt like I could die. How do you get a girl in that situation to ever come out and say no?
Well, one of the things that was great about your situation is that your mother believed you and she did something about it. The other thing, when you're talking about the boys, we always focus on what the girls should do, but we need to train our boys as well. We need to talk to them about not touching, being inappropriate, respecting them. You respect your mom, why wouldn't you respect this young lady? And when we see our boys doing stuff, we turn our heads, we don't say things. And that mom who did that, who knows what her son did in the future, because she didn't stop it then. And so I applaud your mother, and I applaud you for speaking up about it.
Okay, let me take Yinka. Yinka, are you there? Yinka?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, really? Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Okay, hello. Now, this is what I'm about to say. You have been talking about every program about the girl child, about raising a girl child or something like that. But there is no program about boys.
I wanted to come there.
What kind of society are we trying to do today? We are trying to raise proper, decent girls. But the guy, are we trying to raise peace? There should be programs on guys too. See, these boys, they're just coming up. They need to be well trained. Because if you are trying to have all program about a girl this, how to empower a lady, they are not trying to raise the balanced society.
Point taken, Yinka. Thank you very much. A lot of focus have been actually put on the girl child being raped, but we are finding more information these days that boys are actually being raped by their aunties, by their house helps.
So true.
So in that kind of situation, how do we help the boy child? Let me let Waiki also jump in here.
Yeah, I know a lot of boys who their first sexual encounter was with the house help.
Certainly.
Yes.
You know, maybe at 8 or 9. So there is that. And then there's another thing. I know of this girl who was raped by armed robbers. I mean, she was a virgin and everything, and it was traumatic for her. But what I found strange was the mother telling people that, my daughter was raped, the armed robbers came and raped her. Do you think that is appropriate?
The daughter is entitled to her own story. And so I know that people do that, and the mom may have been trying to help, but in her helping, she was shaming the girl because the mom is telling everyone the girl actually needs probably some privacy and needs some help, some personal help, because everybody doesn't understand rape. And so when you put it out there that the girl was raped, then people start to point fingers and blame the girl. So I won't say the mom was wrong, but it's probably something that's inappropriate and she shouldn't be doing.
Okay, let's move back to the boy's story, because I don't want us to leave that story. The boy's story. How does the boy get raped, and what can we do to prevent boys from being raped?
I have so many stories about boys being raped. I'm from the U.S., but we work with families from everywhere. And many times, I was just actually talking to someone on the way here. Many times we leave our kids vulnerable. Say you have an older cousin who's in the home and the parents are working all day and the cousin is watching the kids. And so that child is vulnerable and the cousin starts touching the child, being inappropriate with the child. But the child is afraid to tell because that cousin actually lives in that home. 90% of the children that are victimized by somebody they know, either their parent, their cousin, the house help, somebody really familiar with them. And so when we talk about what can we do for boys, we need to educate boys like we educate girls. In the church that I belong to, there's all kinds of education in the church where they talk about sex abuse, being inappropriate, respecting girls, all of those things. We can do that on a...
I'm sorry to cut you off. I was going to let you come in, but I just remembered something. Somebody sent me a Twitter message a couple of days ago. This game we all played as children, mommy and daddy. Everybody had this, you're the mommy, you're the daddy, and you start doing what mommy and daddy does.
Okay,
we all had it growing up, where you had your cousin as the daddy, you're the mommy, and you guys go under the sheets, and the rest is history. Now, today, these things still happen. Kids still play mommy and daddy. How can children still play, yet be responsible?
That's normal. That's normal behavior for kids to emulate their parents.
Right.
But when kids have been sexually abused, you can tell that they've been sexually abused because they know more than what they know words, they are touching themselves, they're masturbating, they're touching other kids inappropriately. Those are the times when you know somebody is touching that child and doing something inappropriately.
I had an experience like that as a teacher. Kids, think about 4 or 5, go under the table and they are touching their parts in class. So we had to call on their parents to come to school, what exactly is happening, how many rooms are you staying, and all of that. So this, according to the parents, they had their rooms, everybody sleeps in their room. There was nothing, according to them, that they've done in the presence of those kids to have warranted that. So how do you draw the line between what the children see or what they hear from people outside if you say it's not you as a parent? Because we go to work. You can't be in the home all day.
And it may be true that it didn't happen, that they are not emulating their parents, but they may be watching something on TV that's inappropriate. They may be watching movies that are inappropriate.
Telemundo.
Yes, and a lot of people, when they're grooming children, they will show them pornography. And so that's where they're getting it from.
We're also going to break. When we come back, because now I'm getting worried, because all my kids stay in one room, and I'm getting worried. But let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, thanks for staying with us. Well, I want to take this back to parents because children that are very vulnerable, you know, they can't speak. These are young people who, they are just young. They've been exposed to those at home. Toddlers, kids. As a parent, what can you do? What kind of sexual education do you give a child to help them communicate? Because what Aisha was telling us earlier, yes, some kids get the confidence to say it, but then they realize their parents are not there to back them up. So how do we start this from a very tender age?
That's and that's where we do have to start. As soon as your children are using words, and kids can start saying words at 18 months or whatever, you teach them body parts, because we've had kids and they're trying to tell us that they've been abused, but they're using inappropriate words, so we don't know what those words, we don't know what they're talking about. And so usually we have experts that can work with them to, you know, to figure it out. But as parents, we teach our kids about private areas. We need to tell them that all the time. I taught my son from a very early age about private areas and being uncomfortable or saying, I don't like this. We can give them words like stranger, danger, or something like that. So if a stranger is approaching them,